Hi! Today I'm going to show you how to make clean and simple cards of faith using the new Stampin' Up! Courage and Faith stamp set. The Courage and Faith stamp set includes 4 Bible verses that are widely used. I'm Shelley Godby, and for 22 years I've been teaching you how to create hand-stamped smiles as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And so at the end of the video, I'm going to show you, because I struggled between, do I use the embossed layer or not? So I want you to look at both and tell me which one you prefer. Here's a closer view of the Courage and Faith stamp set with 4 Bible verses that are widely used. I'm sure you recognize these and will be thrilled to have them. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. May the Lord bless and keep you. In everything give thanks and be of good courage. And of course we have the references of where they can be found, and then some other floral and some greenery to use with them. And so I am going to use those with May the Lord bless and keep you for my clean and simple card of faith. So we will start with the die cutting. So I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'm going to be die cutting and embossing, and we'll start with the embossing. So what we need to do first is build up what's called a sandwich. We'll do that by starting with plate number 1. And the directions are printed on here, so you have to memorize what I'm telling you. All right, and then we need a plate number 3. All right, and all the plates I'm showing you are included with the purchase of a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Next we have, look at this, our Countryside Blossoms folder. And I have here some basic white cardstock. All right, so we're going to put this inside. Getting that inside, and I'd like it to be straight. And you can see through. All right, so we're going to put that hinge first with the Stampin' Up! Facing us. And then I need another plate number 3. And so place this on here. There we go, as I try to get my fingers out of the way. And crank it through. Wait till you see this. This is really cool. Beautiful folder. It's new to the 23-24 catalog. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so now we're going to do our die cutting. And we're going to start again with a plate number 1. But this time, because we're going to be die cutting with thin metal dies, we're going to add a plate number 2. We still need plate number 3 to cut into. That's why this isn't nice and clear anymore. And this time I have basic white thick cardstock. 2 reasons. I'm going to be using Stampin' Blends. It's recommended for that. And it's going to be a layer that's popped up, and I'll like the extra heaviness to it, the sturdiness. And right here I have the Scallop Contours dies. All right. And getting this one. And see that raised edge? That's the cutting edge. We're going to put that down. And so it can cut through. I don't need this to be perfect. I just need it on there. All right, and then again, another plate number 3. So the difference between those 2 sandwiches was just the thin plate number 2. This is why we want to set it on there. I was trying to scoot it in there. I need to pull that back. I want to set it on so the die doesn't move. And then go ahead and crank this through. All right, and this is really cool. Not only do we get that scalloped edge, we get an embossed border. So it almost, well, embossed and, dotted. So it gives it like it's a layer itself. Very nice set of dies. So now we are ready to do some stamping and coloring. So we've got our die cutting and embossing done. And so next, well, we need to make the card base. And so what I have here is a sheet of 8.5 by 11 basic white thick cardstock, because this clean and simple card, well, it's going to be mostly white. All of our layers are white. But you want the thick cardstock to make a good sturdy base. And the basic white cardstock, whenever you're going to stamp you want to use the basic white cardstock instead of just some store brand white cardstock because it's designed with a smooth, tight finish to give you crisp, clean images. And my goodness, we're doing all that stamping. That's exactly what we want. So what I have here is my paper trimmer. Love this. Both blades can go either to the top or the bottom. This light blade is a scoring blade. We'll use that, but first we'll start with the cutting blade, that darker gray. All right, so let's pick this up. And this is 11 inches long, and so half of this is 5.5. So here's the 5, there's 6. See that longest line halfway in between? That's the 5.5. And so we're going to put this on the line, not next to it. I don't want to see the line. We want it on the line. Close this, and it's important that you butt it up against that top. If you try to come down here, I think it'd be a miracle if it were straight. So use that to square it off and then run this over there. And now I've got 2 card bases. Fantastic. So now this is 8.5 inches long. And so I want to score this in half at 4.25. So we'll pick this up. Now we're going to come in, here's 4, 5, so 5.5 in the center, well, halfway in between. 4.5 and 4 is 4.25. So again, we're going to make sure it's butted up to the top to square it off. Place it on the line, not next to it. Then with the light blade, I'm gonna run over there, and look, it gives us this score line. So we can fold it without getting all crinkly. If you've ever just folded cardstock without that crease, you know what I'm talking about. It is not a pretty look. All right, so then we'll go ahead and fold that. And then I have a bone folder, and this gives me a good crisp fold. Isn't that fantastic? All right, so now we are ready to do some stamping and coloring. Typically, I would stamp and then die cut, but this is working out so well that I felt it was easier to start with the die cutting. And the Courage and Faith stamp set, well, this is a cling stamp set, so it's the red rubber. And I went ahead and put them all on one block. This is a clear block E, and they all fit on there. And I'll stamp it at one time. And look, since I can see through it, the clear block, even though the stamps aren't clear, I can see around them and do a good job stamping. All right, so what I'm going to do is use Tuxedo Black Memento ink pad, because I'm going to be coloring with Stampin' Blends. You need to use this. If you use other types of ink, the lines just disappear, you know, unless that's what you want, or disappeared lines. All right, so we're going to ink this up really well. And so by placing them on here, I don't have to try to line it up over and over, you know, do the one in the center, the one on the side, the other one on the side. This just makes my life a lot easier, and I hope this tip will work well for you too. All right, so I think that's pretty well inked. Go ahead and put our lid on and set that aside. And then go over here and stamp hopefully in the center. So I'm looking at that dotted line. That is really helpful. So, you know, I've got a lot on one, so I can do this. Or I got thinking about it, I thought, what if that's a bit much for someone if they have some arthritis in their hands and fingers, huh? Well, I don't know if you remember seeing this before, that pressure tool I showed you with the Stamparatus. I thought, well, why not? Why can't we just do this? It's not scooting all over, but that's going to help give that pressure that we need. And so this is something I picked up on Amazon. I'll have a link under the video to where you can get one too if you think this would be a good idea. There we go. And I'm just doing extra because I want a really good image. All right, so let's go ahead. And beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, just love it. So this may be a good idea for you, just in general, the big stamps, or if you're going to do something like I did and put several of them on one to get a good image. All right, so now the fun part, coloring. Don't you just feel your blood pressure drop because coloring is so calming. All right, so I've got the new Boho Blue, one of the 2325 in colors, and we can do this 2 different ways. You can start with the dark or the light, so maybe we'll start with the dark. on one side. Here we go for the flowers. And so I'm going to use the dark for the base of the flowers. There we go. I think that's all I have on this side are 3. And then I'm going to use the brush tip. And even though it's a brush, look at that fine tip. And then I can blend the colors. So they're both the same, the light and the dark, but it gives me that shading. And as it dries, it gets more obvious. Isn't that pretty? And so I'll say, I was trying to remember which way, like, you know what? On this side, I'll do the opposite. I'll just go ahead and fill in, because this is open and in my hand. Fill in my blossoms. I want to get those tips. So there are 3 each side. So this won't take long at all, but it's going to add a big splash of color against all of that beautiful white, the elegance of white. And come down here and give some color at the base of these. There we go. All right, so I want to make sure I close those so they don't dry out. And next, I have soft seafoam in light and dark. And we can start with the light again. Oh, again, I didn't start with the light. I started with the dark. I started with the light on the other side. Okay. So go and just color these all in. Boy, the Stampin' Blends, the way they let us shade, just make us look brilliant. And you want to do it when it's wet. All right, so again, I'm going to use that smaller end, and it's telling us where it would be, right, with those lines. That would be darker. So that's just a really easy way to do that. And if we want, we could go at the base a little bit again too. But those lines pretty much are doing it for us. So we'll step over here and start with the dark. And to me, the results are the same no matter which one I start with. Just depends on the mood I'm in. Or like this, switching from one side to the other. A pretty card that's easy to make and quick to make. All right, there we go. So our flowers are colored in. So we just have one more thing to color. And what I have here is the berry burst. And I'm going to use that smaller tip again. And then just dot over these dots. Isn't this adding a great splash of color instead of leaving them just black? You know what? I remembered something else I want to do. I want to bring back my soft seafoam. I'm going to use that fine tip. Let's go ahead and do the stems too. I think that'll help it look finished. Either way would be fine. That'll be something you can tell me. Do you like the stems colored, or just would you leave them go as they were? I think I missed that one, perhaps that one. Fantastic. So you'll have to let me know that. And then I'm going to show you the difference with and without this layer, because I was really kind of struggling. We'll do that next. I'll have a link to my blog post under the video with all the measurements for my Courage and Faith cards if you'd like to make it too. All right, so when I first made this, I put it on here with dimensionals, and we can do that. Let's go ahead and do that. Stampin' Dimensionals are the coolest thing. I often tease they're my favorite accessory, the one you can't see, because let's leave that backing on because I don't want it to glue down yet. It's just adding that dimension, the depth, really dresses up a card. It's quite remarkable what it does. So for the first one, I did that, and I really liked it. Thought, wow, that's really, really pretty. But I like the clean and simple. And then I thought, well, what if I put it embossed? And so then I added this. And actually I had it done both ways and sat back and thought about it for a day. I went to bed and slept on it. When I got back up, I thought, I like the elegance this adds to it. It just, to me, stepped it up. So I'm going to use it, but you've seen both, so you'll be able to tell me in the comments which one you prefer best. So I've got the mini glue dots because this is textured. As much as I like the Stampin' Seal, the mini glue dots are really a good option when you have this texture because they can get in there. And you know what? We're going to do one in the center. So what I'm doing is I'm unrolling these and I'm taking, you see the cardstock to them, trying not to touch them. I'm not being totally successful, but you know, they're super sticky and we want them to stay super sticky and not touch them and take away from that. So here we go. And just go around the perimeter. One in each corner, you know, probably would have been enough because I tend to do more like this. I was going to say overboard, but it's not. When it's a 3D, you know, because the image is really, the embossed image is really heavy and I don't want anything to buckle. But I started, so I thought, well, we'll finish there. Okay, there we go. And so we'll go ahead and put this on there. And I looked at this and I thought, should this be going straight up and down? But you know what? We are covering so much of it that it doesn't matter. I just thought these sort of emulated that. We cover up so much. I don't think anyone will notice if the flowers are going the right way. And who says up and down's right? All right, so then let's go ahead and now we'll take our thumbnail and that makes this pop, that edge pop up to make it easy to remove the backing. That was the one that was already coming off. There we go. And we put this on there and there we have our card of faith. A clean and simple Courage and Faith card that really is elegant with the pop of the color being the focal image. Oh my goodness. And just oh so beautiful. If you'd like to make my clean and simple card of faith using the new Stampin' Up! Courage and Faith stamp set, all the supplies are listed below the video and available to order now in my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com. And when you place your June 2023 Stampin' Up! Order of $50 or more with me, I'm going to send you one of my Courage and Faith cards. So get on over now to my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm Shelly Godby, teaching you how to create hand stamped smiles. Thanks for watching.